You made a point. Senator Mullen.
I would like to also support the call for a debate on Greece, and indeed there are many things that we could discuss. One thing that caught my eye, however, was the report today that 75% of applications for asylum in this country have been rejected. And I think it would be timely for the Minister for Justice to come into this House and give us an update on the operation of our asylum laws, and let us debate whether that's an appropriate percentage or not in the light of the circumstances. But it is interesting to note that Greece is much worse than we are, that they rejected 14,185 out of 14,350 applications for asylum in 2009, which provides an interesting angle on our solidarity with Greece and a question of their solidarity with people. They certainly haven't been spending the money on their asylum seekers. And I know Senator O'Toole likes the occasional reference to Scripture, and I'm reminded again of the parable in Matthew 18 of the ungrateful debtor, the person who had his own debt forgiven leader, but showed very little compassion himself towards others. And that's an interesting, I think, sidelight on the Greek debate. In addition to a debate on asylum, I think it would also be timely for us to look at to what extent our measures to combat trafficking are actually working. Now, I know it's the case that we have administrative protective measures for victims of human trafficking, but the reality is that only a handful of victims of trafficking have had access to the recovery and reflection period, the 6-month temporary residence permits and so on. And indeed, we've had no cases brought to court under the criminal law, under the human trafficking legislation. Now, I've made the point, Leader, in this House before, that the British have introduced a much tighter law on the purchase of sexual services from persons who are trafficked. And it is not a defence under the British law to show that you did not know that the person was a controlled person. Now, I'm asking for a debate on the need to tighten up the Irish law, to harmonise it with that of Britain, so that we don't have the appalling spectacle of people coming south of the border to avail of the sexual services of persons who are in fact victims of human trafficking. And I would ask you to ask the Minister for Justice to come in and to debate that matter with us in early course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ciarán. Look, it's with interest I listened to the last speaker and would support